everyone, it's Jen here, your artist from Playfully Refined, and in this video I have a special treat for you. I just went out and got these really cool liquid acrylic paints that I'm going to play around with. I'm going to do it on the fly with a Reddit post from Daily Sketch. Today's theme is urban fantasy. I don't know if you can see that. Will it focus? Oh, there it goes! Today's theme is urban fantasy. So I'm gonna whip something up on the fly for you in that theme, and we're gonna learn how to do it step by step all together. All right, you ready? Let's get started. So I'm all set up. This is watercolor paper. I've experimented with a couple different kinds of papers, and these acrylic inks work best, it seems so far, on watercolor. I've got a pencil to sketch it out. I've got 3 different sizes of brushes. I'll let you know which I use as I go. And I have my palette for mixing colors over here. And I have some water for toning down colors and getting a different effect on my right. So, just to clarify on urban fantasy, so they say urban fantasy is a story that is set primarily in the real world and contains aspects of fantasy. So the example they give is a punk rock elf. So this theme sounds right up my alley and a ton of fun. So I think what I'm going to try and do is a unicorn hipster. Step 1, grab your graphite pencil and your watercolor paper and get ready to sketch. Some tips for step 1, sketch lightly. And if you make a mistake, just erase it. Super easy. And for this hipster unicorn, it's going to be mostly U-shapes and V's. So first what we're going to do is make sure it's in a portrait style, tall waist. Go to the center, draw our first U diagonally, come and draw a line under that. Then just above our first U, we're going to draw a wide fat rainbow that's sideways. And then do a U-shaped dimple on the top. That's going to be the ear. Now we're going to come up and do an upside down V above that. There's your ear. Now we're going to do a straight line above where we started our U. Bring that in a little, and then do another straight line down. That's forming the face. Then we're going to do another little U for the nose, loop that around for the mouth, and then a big U to close it off at the bottom. Come back up, do another upside down V. We have 2 ears. Now we're going to draw an eyeball in the middle of the forehead. Just kidding, it's a horn. So we're going to go up and do our big V to show where the horn is, and we're going to do diagonal ovals going up the horn so it makes it look like it swirls. Now we're going to go in and do the hair. So there's no wrong way to do hair. The more whirly and twirly you make it, the better. Because we all know hair just kind of seems to have a mind of its own most days. So I'm just going to do a lot of whirly, twirly, swirly lines coming down to do the mane for the unicorn. Then we're going to come to where the point joins our U and draw a line down for the neck, draw an eye in the hair. For the nostril, we're going to draw a 6, and then close the top part of the 6 down to the oval part of the 6, and there you have a nose. Now, any good hipster unicorn needs glasses, so we're going to do a straight line at the top of the eye, draw that under with a U, of course, do another upside down U going across the nose, and a little U on the other side, just symbolizing there are 2 eyes. And then straight lines going up from the corner to behind the ear. Now a scarf, we're going to do a partial U coming out of the neck, stripes going out of that, connect that to behind the neck, do another U out to make it look like the knot, and then 3 lines coming down from that. with more diagonal lines. That's the end of our scarf. And ta-da, there you have it, Hipster Unicorn. Step 2, grab your paintbrushes and your paints, and let's add some color to our sketch. So now we're gonna start with the background colors first. I'm gonna do a bright yellow, make it bright and sunny and colorful. So before I add the paint, I'm gonna grab my brush, dip it in water, and get the edges around the unicorn wet. Now be careful to go around the unicorn and not on the unicorn, because wherever you put the water, that's where your paint will go. So I'm just going to get as close to the edges as I can. And then when I'm done, we're just going to grab the yellow paint and just add drops. Some here, some there. Pretty cool. Now I'm just going to grab my brush again, and I'm going to spread that color around and go as close to the unicorn as I can. Just spreading that color more where I want it. Trying not to get it on my sleeve, but hey, I'm kind of a mess. I have paint all over my hands all the time. Working it around, then just draw rays of sunshine. Kind of like when you were a kid and used to draw a big sun and sky with sunglasses on and a happy face. Just bringing that water out with our brush. Ta-da! But now we have to get it to dry before we add the next layer of color because it's still wet. And if it's still wet, then anything else we add to it will bleed into that color. Now, I'm not a fan of waiting around, so I have a surprise for you. Guess what time it is? It's hair dryer time. Not for my hair, for the painting. Because ain't nobody got time to wait for that to dry. So now what we're gonna do that the yellow is dry is get our unicorn hair. So I'm gonna get my brush again, roll up my sleeves, grab my pink, my velvet violet, and my turquoise. All these look awesome together. And I'm gonna get the mane wet with my brush, the water, just like we did the yellow. Remember, where the water goes, the paint will go too. So I'm just coating that. Being careful not to get it in areas I don't want it. And the great thing about acrylic liquid is that it dries like acrylic, which means that unlike watercolor, it's not gonna bleed when I add layers on top of it, which is pretty cool. So now we're just gonna open the pink and add some droplets. Oh, pretty cool. I love watching it just bleed out like that, letting it go wild. Add some of our purple. Don't forget the top. And adding our turquoise. Be careful, that's a very bold color. I'm just gonna add a drop to my brush and a little area up top, just because it's such a small area. Now I'm gonna take my brush and drag the turquoise color up to create lines to make it look more like hair or a mane. Some of these I'm gonna drag outside of the painting to give it more of that hair effect. Just dragging the colors where I feel, where I like, where I want them. Don't forget to do the top part of the hair the same way, just drag those colors around. Whenever you get too much color on your brush, make sure you dip it in your water so you're not overpowering the painting at any time. Just gonna add little fringes coming out here and there. Looks pretty cool, kind of like galaxy hair right now. I really like it. Hair going over the glasses, some more little sprigs coming out. Just adding those little details that make all the difference. Now I'm going to add some pink to the ear, just to give that color. And next comes another round of hair dryer time before we do our unicorn shadows. I'm gonna do now is make some gray. I'm just going to take some white, add it to my jar, about 3 drops, and 1 tiny insy binsy bit of black on mostly my hands, some in the jar. And I'm just gonna mix that up until it's one consistent color, a nice light gray. And we're gonna use this to trace some of the lines we sketched out earlier of our unicorn, starting with our first U. Dip it in water to lighten the color a little, bring it down the neck to create shadows. Just adding areas where there's definition in the unicorn. Some along the scarf, some along where the mane goes, some on the underside of the face. And then we're going to do a line going from the nostril to the nose to give the face a 3-day shape. And do another line for some definition there. Give our ears some shadowing. Now I really want to lighten the color up more and give my muzzle a gray look. There we go. Add some lighter gray around our first U. And some light gray under the glasses to give a shadow under those. Now I'm going to wash my brush. And I think I'm going to do a nice blue striped scarf. So I'm just going to apply the paint directly to my brush because the stripes are kind of narrow. And just paint stripes on the scarf. With these liquid acrylics, a little bit of paint goes a long way. Like with that 1 drop, I'm not going to really have to add any more paint to finish off my scarf. And my camera is going crazy. Hold on. Okay, got it. Here we go. Finish the stripes on the end of the scarf. And there we go. Next, I'm going to do the glasses. Make sure you tighten your lids on your paints so you don't spill it on your painting. That would not be cool. Do all that work. So this is a pre-diluted black. It's just about half of a little cup of water with a few drops of black in it. And I'm just using that as a gray to add some color to the eye. Now I'm taking straight black, adding it to my brush, and doing the glasses. I'm just coloring it in like you would when you were a kid with a coloring book. That simple. And try and get it straight, but if not, don't worry about it because we're going to come back in and clean up those lines later with our micron pens. And a little more black there for the nostril. My camera really likes to focus on my head and not my work. I don't know. I don't think the top of my head is all that awesome. So, focus on the work. Now we're going to do the horn in a flesh tint color. So I'm just going to dab this flesh color after I make sure my brush is clean right onto the brush. And then paint over the horn. Giving it a nice gold appearance. Then I'm going to wash my brush and grab some white. And this is going to give it that shiny swirly pattern. I'm going to put it directly on my brush, and while the paint for the horn is still wet, I'm just going to drag the white up. Right down the center of the horn. Kind of makes it look 3-dimensional and shiny. Ta-da! Now we blow dry it again. So much fun blow drying your painting dry. Hilarious. So this time we want to make sure we get the paint entirely dry because our next step is to take our micron pens and go over the painting to add details. Step 3. Let's grab our archival pens and let's outline what we just painted, give it some attitude. So these pens come in different sizes, and I'm going to try and grab a medium-sized one just enough that the lines aren't too bold and they aren't too thin. It adds definition. So I'm going to use a 0.5 size pen. And first thing I'm going to do is straighten up those glasses. And what I'm doing is I'm just tracing around the lines on the outside. And then if there's any gaps from there, I'll fill them in with the black pen. So I'm just cleaning up the lines so it looks sharper and more even. Then we're going to do an almond shape over the eyes. We're going to draw a little circle that's going to be the white part of the eyes and a bigger circle around it and color in the bigger circle. Then we're going to outline the entire unicorn. Just the outside of it. Certain areas inside, like our first U. And this is just to add more definition and make it more bold. Then we're going to do the details on our hair. First we're going to trace the entire outside of the hair. After our horn. So what I'm going to do is you can still see the diagonal oval shapes that we drew before through the paint. I'm just going to trace over those with our pen to really bring out the details in the horn. Okay, now I'm going to do the mane. I'm just tracing around the outside to start, making sure to get all the little wiggle lines. If you're not entirely sure, just kind of make it up the best you can. Like I said about hair, there's no wrong way to do it. It kind of has a mind of its own and it does what it wants. Wild and wavy is great. Getting like tongue-tied. Tongue-tied. Okay, so now we're going to add details in the mane. I'm just going to come up by the ear and draw some lines coming out like a ray from there. Then draw some lines coming up where our edges come out on the bottom. Some lines coming down from the horn. This gives the appearance of hair flowing. Now we're going to outline this big part of the mane all the way around, getting the little edges, doing the inside where the touches the unicorn as well. Okay, same thing. Now adding details inside. We're just doing little rays of sunshine style stuff again. And then wherever you see your darker lines from your paint streaks that you did earlier, just add some of the black lines to give it more dramatic effect. And then coming down to the bottom where the V's connect and drawing a line up from them. None of these lines connect. They're just kind of all working independently. Step 5. Grab your wine or beverage of choice, take a sip and enjoy your hipster unicorn. I'd love to see your hipster unicorns. Be sure to share them with me in the comments by dropping a photo. Alright, ciao till next time.